Now, you can listen to Wine and Dine Radio while shopping at the grocery store or your neighborhood wine merchant. Wine and Dine Radio can be heard using your wireless internet on your cell phone. You're listening to iWineRadio. iWineRadio is a production of Food Tastes Better with Wine on the web at iWineRadio.com. Hey guys, I thank you for listening to iWineRadio, and we are still the only wine channel on iTunes Radio. If you go look under iTunes radio icon and scroll down to News and Talk directory, and it's listed alphabetically, click on that and the stream comes up immediately. iWineRadio.com, where you can find links to individual guests. And if anyone's interested in advertising or becoming an underwriter or sponsor, please contact us at iWineRadio.com. We really, really appreciate your support. The more support we get, the more conversations I can have with fascinating people around the world, including you. If you have a story to tell that you'd like to share on iWine Radio, go to iWineRadio.com and contact us, and we'll go from there.
Hi, I'm Jeff Jenssen.
And I'm Mike DeSimone.
And together, we're the World Wine Guys. We're really such proud authors of this book, Wines of the Southern Hemisphere, the complete guide. We really feel it's a great reference guide to any lover of wine from around the world, but especially the person who wants to learn more about the wines from the Southern Hemisphere.
And you can find out more about us and the book on our website, worldwineguys.com. And when you're out shopping, stop by your local bookstore and make Wines of the Southern Hemisphere your own.
Well, as promised, and I'm going back to the beginning of the summer when we met the World Wine Guys, Mike DeSimone and Jeff Jenssen. They were publishing a brand new book, which is out now, called Wines of the Southern Hemisphere. Wines of the Southern Hemisphere. This thing is it's a 3 or 4 pound book. I mean, this is like huge. This is not something that you would, this is like sitting in a comfortable chair and reading. And, the complete guide to wines of the Southern Hemisphere. I would imagine that this took them quite a while to write. But when we talked to them for the first time, it was about their Fire Island cookbook, which had all this wonderful entertaining ideas. And let me ask you, Mike and Jeff, and let me ask Mike here, since you're doing writing full-time for the two of you as a branding unit in the food and spirits and travel networking, how long did it take you to write this? How long did it take you to research, and did you do a lot of travel?
We certainly did a lot of travel, and we visited all of the countries that we covered, and so it actually took us about a year and a half of travel, not all at the same time. We're based here in New York City, and we would go out. We went to South America, we went to Chile. And actually, in one trip, we went to Chile and Argentina, and then separate trips, we went back to Chile, went back to Argentina, and then we would come back to New York, organize our notes, figure out what wineries we wanted to visit next time around, see what wines we might have visited the winery but didn't have good tasting notes on and needed to get those wines in. But the whole process was about a year and a half on that.
No, I haven't seen anybody really do a big deal on Uruguay in particular, and even Brazil for that matter. So it's so cool that you're including in your chapters on Argentina, Australia, Chile, New Zealand, South Africa, also Brazil and Uruguay, because I'm hearing more and more rumble about Uruguay in particular.
Yeah, the important thing for us, Lynn, was to give a really fair and unbiased, view at the Southern Hemisphere. And, Chile, everyone knows the wines from Chile and Argentina, New Zealand, Australia, and South Africa, but the lesser-known countries of Uruguay and Brazil, we really wanted to make sure that we covered. We have traveled to Uruguay and Brazil extensively, And, we both speak Spanish fluently, so traveling to Uruguay was really pretty easy. The area that most of the wineries are in are around the capital, Montevideo. So to go to Canelones and those other regions in Montevideo is very easy. And, they're making some great wines with the same history that Argentina and Chile have. Winemakers came from Italy and Spain and Germany and started making some really wonderful wines, bringing rootstock from their own countries. Brazil, same thing. Around the turn of the century, the last century, in the late 1800s, a lot of Italians were coming from the Veneto and bringing and Friuli and bringing vines with them and planting them in Brazil. When you go to Brazil and you go to the south, you really kind of almost feel like you're in Piemonte or the Veneto. People still speak an Italian dialect there that was spoken in Venice at the time. They came over as, coffee pickers and workers for the plantation, and after they worked there for 2 years, their passage was paid, and they each were able to get 25 acres of land. So what did they plant? They planted what, their foodstuff was, grains and vegetables and vines.
Wow. I pronounce it so wrong. I never studied Spanish. You're saying Uruguay?
Uruguay, yes.
Uruguay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And now I see that the biggest chapter in the book, is Australia, followed by South Africa.
Well, Australia is a big country.
Yeah.
There are over 2,000 wineries in Australia, and actually, I would have to say that was the most difficult chapter to narrow down. If you look at New Zealand or Chile, there's a few hundred, and so to narrow that down to around 100 is a fairly simple task. But when you look at a country that is like Australia, that is as big as the United States and has 2,000 wineries, it's very, very difficult to do that. And one of the things that we found with Australia is that the Australians are now discovering it themselves, is that they're really starting to rebrand themselves with their regional identity. I think that we're going to see the wines coming in more under, like Barossa Valley, McLaren Vale, that kind of thing, as opposed to just Australian wine. Yeah.
Years ago, and I'm saying like 30 years ago, and I have my first copy of Hugh Johnson's Encyclopedia to Wine. I think it was Encyclopedia Wine. It wasn't Atlas, it was Encyclopedia. And he had kind of in the same format here where he'd have all these entries on individual wineries. It's so cool that you spent so much time and you're devoting this respect to Southern Hemisphere like this in this kind of a format.
Lynn, it's such a it's always difficult to say that this there's few firsts left in the world, but talking to our publisher, talking to editors out there, when we came up with this idea to write this book really is the first of its kind.
Yeah.
And in looking at Hugh Johnson, who we respect, very much, Jancis Robinson, Oz Clarke, in looking at all of their books, you see that the Southern Hemisphere is not really represented. In fact, the books that have the most information on the Southern Hemisphere included categorically with New World wine, including California wine, and the most pages that are devoted to that subject is 8%. So we saw a need in the market for wine lovers and people who are enthusiastic about wine to look at an area that they may not have looked at before, and we decided to devote 100% of our book to the Southern Hemisphere. And it was really exciting. I mean, we're honored and blessed to be able to say that we are the first ones to do it, and this is going to be our book for the rest of our lives. It's our legacy, and it's so much fun to be able to do that and have a book that truly is a first in the world of wine.
Do you two think that the way the wine industry is constantly being updated with new versions, so to speak, like new versions of software and all, that there will be a second edition, a third edition, a fourth edition? I mean, this is something that you could be adding to for years to come.
Absolutely. have talked to our publisher about this, and they're very excited about doing that. The book actually has gone into its second print run after being on sale for only 10 days.
Whoa!
We're so excited, and so is our publisher, Sterling Epicure, and our editor, Carlo DeVito. So we're so excited, and yes, the book will be updated. We plan on updating it every 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
So when I said it's our legacy, I really mean that. So we plan on traveling around the Southern Hemisphere, every other year or so, and taking a year to do it and updating this book. It's really important for us to stay up to date, make the information, current for our readers.
Because as a result of this, you two, if you haven't already, you're going to be then getting all sorts of bookings for being speakers and, that sort of thing on the subject of Southern Hemisphere. And especially the things that other people don't pay that great attention to, like Brazil and Uruguay.
Right.
Yeah, that it's funny. There was a big New York Brazilian trade tasting last week, and we went to the tasting actually planning to walk around and taste some wines, and what we hadn't realized was that all of the winemakers had gone out. They actually raided about 3 Barnes & Nobles, and all of the books from several Barnes & Nobles in like a 20-block radius, and they wound up setting up a table for us. We didn't even taste a single wine because we sat at a table and there was a line of winemakers coming over, and we signed books. So that was really, really exciting to us.
Oh, yes.
We also have done we've done some tastings at Wines of Chile. We're setting up some new things. So it really is exciting for us that that we're going to kind of start to be the go-to guys.
Yeah.
At least 1 or 2 of those countries.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We want to be the poster boys for the Southern Hemisphere, and I think people are so receptive to the book. I mean, the fact that we're in our second printing after 10 days just kind of blows us away. So we're so happy and thankful that everyone's going out to their Barnes & Noble or Amazon and buying the book. So it's a wonderful thing, Lynn. We're very excited.
Let me ask you, which one of the two of you, or was it through the publisher or whatever, how did you generate this foreword from Michel Rolland?
Funny story, and a quick one is, we have some friends who are winemakers in Croatia, and he was, organizing a trip where Michel was coming out to blend his wine. We happened to have been traveling at the same time. He invited us over. We sat down with Michel. We showed him what we had done. We had the manuscript, all 700 pages, on a ream of paper. And he read it, and we said, you're mentioned in there 50 times. I mean, you are responsible for so many of these wonderful wines. We'd love for you to write the foreword. And he agreed, and we were so honored that he agreed so quickly. So, yeah, we're excited about that as well.
Can you guys help set up an interview with him? I
Sure.
would love to interview Michel Rolland. Well, I would like to congratulate you along with everybody else, Mike DeSimone and Jeff Jenssen, on this fantastic gift to the world, Wines of the Southern Hemisphere, the complete guide. What a great gift idea for people going into November, December here. We will have links up for you to learn more, and unbelievable. Even the print or the pages, it feels really good in your hands. Something you really want to cuddle up with and make notes in. You're listening to Wine and Dine. Now you can listen to Wine and Dine Radio while shopping at the grocery store or your neighborhood wine merchant. Wine and Dine Radio can be heard using your wireless internet on your cell phone. You're listening to iWineRadio. iWineRadio is a production of Food Tastes Better with Wine, on the web at iWineRadio.com. Hey guys, I thank you for listening to iWineRadio, and we are still the only wine channel on iTunes Radio. If you go look under iTunes radio icon and scroll down to News and Talk directory, and it's listed alphabetically, click on that and the stream comes up immediately. iWineRadio.com, where you can find links to individual guests. And if anyone's interested in advertising or becoming an underwriter or sponsor, please contact us at iWineRadio.com. We really, really appreciate your support. The more support we get, the more conversations I can have with fascinating people around the world, including you. If you have a story to tell that you'd like to share on iWine Radio, go to iWineRadio.com and contact us, and we'll go from there.